Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew? It's your boy DJ New Kid, your girl.
Sarah Nicole.
Back on the channel with another
Kid and C original.
You don't even know. You just be like, I don't know where he going.
I
You be
don't.
Like, you was surprised. Welcome back to the channel, man. And we got a good one for y'all today. We got 10 craziest prison escapes of all time. Have I asked you?
Okay.
Ain't nobody come to see you, Otis.
Okay.
Nobody come to see you, Otis. But 10 craziest prison escapes of all time, man. So with that being said, before we get into it, man, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box down below. You already know where to go. If you want to further support the channel, you can always just check out how to do so down below. Also, we always take this time to salute to the comment of the day,
Salute
man.
to you.
We highly appreciate that, so y'all keep coming back, man. Keeps coming support Otis.
Whatever.
Oh, man. But also, if you enjoyed today's video, man, lock it in with a thumbs up. But you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, man. But then I even start this, bro. You got me the whole discombobulated, bro. All right, man. Again, it's 10 craziest prison escapes
Of all time.
All right, Otis, you gotta make sure you do your little background, man. Come on in, we come in. All right, let's get into it, y'all.
Going to prison isn't what most of us plan for, and if we become inmates, the first thing we want is freedom. Some prisoners will go to extreme measures to make sure that happens. Here are 10 craziest prison escapes of all time. Jack Sheppard. In 1723, Jack Sheppard was originally going to become a carpenter, but he decided to start stealing and becoming a burglar to pay his bills. In just a span of 1 year in 1724, Sheppard was arrested 5 times and managed to escape 4 times. It is even likely that he invented the trick of tying bed sheets out of the window. He was also very charismatic and started to attract crowds, thus becoming a small-scale celebrity. With each capture, the chains became heavier and the locks were stronger, but they didn't hold Sheppard back. Eventually, he was captured and hung in November 1724, and the crowd that came to watch the hanging prevented his friends from retrieving his body so they could take him to a doctor to be revived. Yes, he even had an escape plan from death. John Dillinger. John Dillinger was known to the FBI as public enemy number 1, who had a life dedicated to crime. He is known as one of the most notorious bank robbers of our time. He and his gang went on a robbery spree in the Midwest, robbing banks and even a few police stations. He was eventually put into prison in January 1934 in the escape-proof Lake County Jail in Crown Point, Indiana. However, on March 3, 1934, Dillinger and an inmate used a fake gun carved out of wood and painted with shoe polish and forced his way out of prison. Not to mention, he stole the sheriff's new V8 Ford as his getaway car. Freedom didn't last for long, though, as Dillinger was shot dead by the FBI a year later. Frank Lee Morris and John and Clarence Anglin. Alcatraz was known as one of the most isolated prisons in the world, and it was considered to be impossible to escape it, as it was a lonely rock in the middle of the San Francisco Bay. However, on June 11, 1962, Frank Lee Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin devised an ingenious plan to escape from the rock. Over the course of a year, the 3 inmates used tools to dig a tunnel in the adjacent walls that led into an unused service corridor. Then they climbed a ventilation shaft to the roof. Then they made a raft out of raincoats and contact cement from the prison's supply cache. After filling the raft with air, they left Alcatraz around 10 p.m. To make it seem like they were still in their cells, the inmates made fake heads out of hair, soap, and toilet paper so the guards would think they were sleeping. It wasn't until the next morning when the guards realized what happened. Morris and the Englands were never found or heard from again. The FBI investigated for 17 years before concluding the 3 men likely drowned.
I got a question for everybody. Do y'all think that they actually escaped and got away? Because it's supposed to be an inescapable because they're out there in a base of Rock Island by themselves, and then it was too far away. But my thing is, it's a possibility that they got away, but a lot of people believe that they drowned because they was like, there's no way that that little raft boat that you never know. Some people probably could swim. You never know. But then people be like, if they could swim, they would get too tired from swimming for so long to the fact but you never know how desperate some people might be, or you never know. They probably contacted somebody on the outside and had them meet them halfway. And because they knew that.
Because what if they did get away and y'all just assumed that they drowned, so y'all gave up even searching for them?
But I think, as far as the time period, they'll be dead now. But now this day, at
that time.
I just want to know if other people think they possibly got away. I think at least one of them.
I guess it'll be a 50-50. I mean, they could have drowned.
Frank Abagnale. The name probably sounds familiar as Leonardo DiCaprio played Frank Abagnale in the movie Catch Me If You Can. The real-life Frank was a world-renowned con artist. In 1971, U.S. prisons were being evaluated due to numerous civil rights violations. It just so happened that the U.S. Marshal forgot his prison detention papers when Abagnale arrived in Atlanta, Georgia. The guards thought Abagnale was an undercover inspector, and he played it off. He was given special privileges, better meals, and awesome treatment. Then he got his friend Gene Sebring to doctor business cards to make it look like they were from the government. Posing as Abagnale's fiancée, she slipped him both cards, one for himself and the other for a fake FBI agent whose number went to a payphone in Atlanta that was picked up by Sebring. Abagnale put on a story of how he needed to get in touch with the FBI, offered both cards to the guards, and arranged for Sebring to pick him up from the front door of the prison. Meanwhile, the guards were patting themselves on the back, thinking that they weren't fooled by the faux prison inspector.
Wow.
Mountjoy Prison
I gotta go back and watch Catch Me If You Can. I enjoyed that was a good movie though. If you haven't seen it, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
We gotta watch that again.
Helicopter escape. On October 31st, 1973, 3 members of the Provisional Irish Republican Army, J.B. O'Hagan, Seamus Toomey, and Kevin Mallon, had an escape worthy of a scene from a movie. While serving time at Mountjoy Prison, the IRA was making plans to bust out their 3 members. They hijacked an Alouette 2 helicopter from a town called Stradbally in Counties, Ireland. Armed men from the IRA forced the pilot to fly to the prison and land in the exercise yard. From there, the helicopter flew to Baldoyle Racecourse, where the men got into a car and headed to Dublin. The escape was seen as an embarrassment to the Irish prison system, and a song was even written about it by the Wolf Tones called the Helicopter Song.
The fuck?
Andrew Roger, Keith Rose, and Matthew Williams. Andrew Roger, Keith Rose, and Matthew Williams made history in 1995 after they pretty much just walked out the Parkhurst prison in the United Kingdom. They worked in the prison's sheet metal shop and managed to make all the tools they needed for their escape. They made a 25-foot steel ladder to help them scale the fence, as well as a skeleton key that could unlock every door in the prison.
What?
How did they manage that? They were able to carve the key out from memory after seeing a guard's key. They also made a...
Baby, y'all
they
doing
smart
that.
than a motherfucker. So you to memorize what an actual key look like by memorization. You are smart as to do that. To even escape prison doing, but man, you know what you could actually do. But a lot of people don't know what they're capable of doing until they had a time to be able to realize what. Cause all you got in jail is time.
They unlocked the back door of the gym, cut a hole in the inner gate, and scaled the outer fence. They were caught 4 days later hiding in a shed, and they were trying to plot out a plan to steal an airplane. The Texas 7. In December 2000, 7 inmates forced their way out of the John B. Connolly unit in Kennedy, Texas, which was a maximum security prison. The men managed to overpower 2 guards and 8 maintenance men, stole their clothes, keys to a truck, and locked them in a utility closet. Led by 30-year-old George Rivas, the group was able to fool several other guards into giving them their weapons before tying them up and escaping in the truck. The group then went on a crime spree in San Antonio and Dallas, plus killing an officer in Irving, Texas, and then making their way into Colorado before they were finally captured. One of the men committed suicide before being recaptured, and the rest were taken back to the prison.
Why?
T.J. Lane. In 2012, T.J. Lane killed 3 of his classmates in a school shooting and was sentenced to serve 3 life sentences at the Allen Correctional Institute in Lima, Ohio. In September 9, 2014, Lane, along with convicted murderer Lindsay Bruce and convicted kidnapper Clifford Opperud, used a homemade ladder to scale the walls to climb on top of the prison building and then jump 15 feet onto the other side of the prison walls and escape on foot. The 3 were able to build the ladder after breaking into a locked crawl space and finding their materials there. Lane and the other inmates were found within 9 hours of their escape. Choi Gap-bock. In September 2012, 50-year-old Choi Gap-bock was arrested on suspicion of robbery and then was put into a detention cell at the police station in the city of Daegu. Gap-bock was a yoga practitioner of 23 years and had stayed in the jail cell for 5 days. Then, he applied skin ointment on the upper part of his body and managed to escape through the food slot while 3 guards were sleeping. Gap-bock is only 5'4", and the slot was 5.9 inches tall and 17.7 inches wide. He bought himself some time by putting pillows and blankets in his bed to make it look like he was sleeping. Gap-bock earned himself the title of the Korean Houdini, who ran to a remote mountain after he escaped. David Sweat and Richard Matt. In June 2015, 34-year-old David Sweat and 48-year-old Richard Matt executed a Shawshank Redemption-style escape from the Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora, New York. They cut through the steel wall in the back of their cell, then crawled down a catwalk, broke through a brick wall, cut their way in and out of a steam pipe, and then sliced through the chain and lock on a manhole cover outside the prison. Then the 2 had to shimmy down the pipe before cutting themselves out again. Sweat and Matt were both serving time for murder, and they spent about 3 weeks on the run before reaching a standoff with cops. Matt was killed and Sweat was recaptured.
Wow.
Well, that was intense.
You don't?
I don't feel like I do. I feel like I do, but then I don't at the same time.
I remember that one because it's the most recent one, and I remember on the news and they was like, "Oh shit, they headed down south," and folks think they was gonna come because if you from New York,
is that
down,
one?
I don't
No,
know.
that's not that.
I remember El Chapo one too. They ain't talking about the El Chapo one, but no, I remember this one though for real. I remember.
What
that.
year did this happen?
2015, girl.
I feel like I remember this. I don't know.
You was
but
in
anyway.
college. You probably weren't watching the news.
I used to watch the news.
You got a busy life in college, man. News come when it comes. But with that being said, man, hey, please answer those questions I did ask, especially the one Alcatraz. I really feel like they survived that one. I really deep down feel like they survived that one. Y'all just weren't able to catch them. But with that being said, man, y'all let us know what y'all want to see next on the channels, man, so we can bring it over here for y'all. But as always, I do go by the name DJ Nuki. This is
Sierra Coast.
We are, y'all.
Ain't no time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Get my money long, get my team strong. Get me run away from